Renee Kostermans is one of the few people who traveled to exotic foreign countries during the COVID pandemic. She left Tennessee on February 9th, 2020, and flew to Costa Rica and went to the Envision Festival. There, she took 4 art classes with Amanda Sage and got really inspired to paint, draw, and use her creativity. On March 17th, she went to the Tribal Gathering, a 16-day festival in Panama, where she found out about COVID 19. She was quarantined there for another 7 days, and instead of going back home, she decided to continue traveling. Egypt is the 8th country she traveled to on her journey around the world. She flew to Sharm el Sheikh from Istanbul, Turkey on January 11th, 2021. She has been traveling for 11 months, and everywhere she goes, she meets other travelers and some of the locals.
Welcome in Sharm. I hope this is not become last day. I hope you won't stay more, 1 week, 2 weeks. You know, I hope the best for you and for America, for everywhere.
Like every other country Renee traveled to, she feels like she's the only tourist there. The resorts are deserted, and she had the beach pretty much to herself. They have nightclubs that are open, but no one was there. On January 14, Renee took a taxi to Dahab. Dahab is situated on a narrow strip of the Red Sea, and you can see Saudi Arabia from there. Downtown Dahab has a laid-back chill to it. There are cute local shops and seaside restaurants. It is a place where a lot of digital nomads live. She took a boat ride to the Blue Lagoon where you can kite surf, fish, relax, and dance if you want. On January 20th, Renee flew to Cairo. She met her neighbor and friend Cassandra from Tennessee, and they traveled together for 2.5 weeks. She was in the south where there were hardly any people. Well, Cairo is a city of 9.5 million. The traffic and noise was crazy.
This is absolutely crazy.
They spent 2 days in Cairo, mostly visiting the Grand Egyptian Museum, and that is where they learned about the pharaohs. Pharaohs are kings of the land. They built huge temples and monuments celebrating their own achievements and to honor the gods. The ancient Egyptians worshipped over 300 gods. They had a body of a human and the head of an animal. Traveling to Egypt during COVID was an amazing time to go. When they visited the pyramids, there were more locals trying to sell camel rides than there were tourists. The pyramids were built by 3 different pharaohs. They were constructed to honor themselves. It was believed that pharaohs would become gods in the afterlife. To prepare them for the next world, they erected a massive tomb and filled them with all the things that they would need to guide and sustain them in the next world, like money, gold, and food. On January 26th, Renee and Cassandra went to Alexandria in the north of Egypt. There they visited the world-famous library, the Qaitbay Citadel, and met a fellow traveler she met in Istanbul for dinner. They stayed at a nice Airbnb overlooking the Mediterranean Sea. On January 29, they took a 10-hour bus trip to Siwa, which is an oasis in the desert. It was said that it was built around 10,000 BC. The town has its own language, Siwi. Alexander the Great visited in 331 BC to consult the oracle of Amun. The Mountain of Dead is home to more than 2,000 Roman and Egyptian tombs. and the salt pools are 95% salt, so you cannot sink in them. Absolutely beautiful. After another 12-hour bus ride to Cairo, they flew to Aswan and took a day trip to Abu Simbel. This was a temple built for the pharaoh Ramses II. He built it to intimidate his enemies. There are 4 huge statues of Ramses II on the outside. It was built in 1274 BC, right on the Nile River. It was declared a World Heritage Site by UNESCO in 1979. They went to a cute Nubian village near Aswan. The Nubian village had so much art and color all around. Renee had the inspiration to paint the hostel that they were staying at. She painted 6 of the walls at the hostel, and she was very pleased with the result. On February 7th, they took a bus from Aswan to Luxor. Luxor was much more crowded, but she went to the Karnak, which is the largest temple complex in the world. There you will find the Avenue of Sphinxes, and there are 134 giant sandstone columns. They are 70 feet tall and 18 feet wide. Renee hired a guide that took her to Valley of the Kings. It was discovered in 1922 by Howard Carter. This is where the famous King Tut was buried.
So I'm at Valley of the Kings, and this is where they buried the pharaohs after they stopped building the pyramids, because there were grave robbers in the pyramids. They went in to hide the people and all of their treasures. So they built these tombs in the middle of the desert where no one could find them. Of course, they did, because I'm here now. But this is what these chambers look like.
The whole valley was comprised of limestone, which made it easier for the workers to carve into, and is the best canvas to draw on, absorbing colors. Some of the tombs, like Ramses II, had over 120 chambers to store his treasures. On the 10th of February, she got her COVID test results, which were negative, and the following day, she flew to Lebanon to continue her journey around the world.